Hi, everybody. My name is Linda Teaman. I am the CEO of Shoshana Technologies. We are the makers of the Rosemark Home Care Management System. I just wanted to toot our horn a little bit. We're really proud to have Roger and Tim here. But first, a couple of housekeeping things. Please allow yourself the time to really take in what they're going to be offering to you today by maybe turning off additional screens, putting your phone away and just kind of sit back and relax. I know many of you are CEOs and marketing people who want to maybe put your feet up for a little bit of time. So allow yourself to do that, and we'll hopefully enjoy this great presentation that you're going to be getting from Roger and Tim today. A little bit about Rosemark. For some of you who don't know, we provide scheduling, billing, and payroll. We have a great integration with QuickBooks, and we have been doing some wonderful connections with SanData and Sam, help me.
HHA Exchange as well.
HHA Exchange, yeah, providing sort of the front end of what you need so that you can have a great connection with them to get paid by your MCOs. So I wanted to just make sure that you all knew that we have that available. Many of you know that we're very well known in the industry for our great customer service. Can't have great customer service if you don't have great software to back it up. So we would love for anyone who would be interested to give us a call, and we'd be happy to talk with you to see if that might be a good fit for you. Our product might be a good fit for you. We'd love to help you out. Okay, so let's get on with the webinar today. So Tim and Roger also do the Home Care Technology Report. Many of you maybe know of that report. It's pretty amazing, comprehensive. They make sure that they're paying attention to what's going on in the industry, and we get a lot of good information. So if you're not signed up for that, you might want to, I know they're going to talk about that later, you might want to do that, do yourself a favor by signing up for that report. So I'm just going to, without further ado, we have Roger McManus and Tim Rowan here, and they are going to give us some great marketing tips about, what's going on new in the world in terms of, quote, SEO and all the other kind of things that get wrapped around in the marketing world and the home care world. So without further ado, Tim and Roger, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Linda. This is Tim Rowan, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself, and I will give you a little bit of information toward the end about how to register for my free subscription for my newsletter. But Roger and I have been working together for about 4 years now. I bring to the team 25 years of experience in home care. I started as an IT director and have been the editor of the Home Care Technology Report for 20 years ago. This month is when we started. And I met Roger. He has the marketing expertise, and together we think that we have something really exciting to teach you today. Can you give them a little bit more about your background, Roger?
Sure, Tim. I have been in the marketing research business most of my life, and the marketing research business has had a number of entrepreneurial ventures, most of which I feel have turned out fairly well. And so my most recent venture is actually meeting Tim. I had been doing the kinds of things we're going to describe to you today in other industries, and learned that Tim was doing technology reporting in the home care space, and discovered that there's so little activity in the home care space with regard to using current online tools, many of whom are absolutely free. And I'll describe those to you in a few minutes as well. But having met Tim has been a tremendous boost in my life and our ability to take to a very significant population some tools that are very important for growing businesses at very, very little cost. One of the other things that we have done together is last year we published a book called Entrepreneurial Insanity in the Home Care Business. Now, this is not about how to run a home care agency, but how to turn a home care agency into an asset. So many people who are in the business have a job that they're very important. All their employees love them. They have all the answers, and they're significant to their business. But at the end of the day, they have a job instead of an asset. This book talks about how to turn that job into an asset so that it is independent of your behavior and that makes it saleable at some point in the future. And that's the critical part of owning any business, is the ability, whether you do or not, but the ability to sell it. That's what that book is about. You can find it on Amazon, and we'll autograph it for you when we see you at a trade show sometime. The other thing today that you'll find fun is we're going to give away free stuff. Now, 4 times you will note, and we're going to ask you to write things down, because at the end you'll be able to put that information into a form that we're going to tell you how to get. There's no tricks. There's nothing hidden. There's no hidden costs. Just write these things down, and we will send you these gifts as you learn about them during this webinar. And yes, you must be present to win, at least mentally. In any game, and this really is a game because there are things going on out there that so many people don't understand, but you need to know the rules. And once you know the rules, you need to know how to play the game. And the key to any game is knowing your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And once you've discovered their weaknesses, and we're going to show you some of those today, you will be able to have, we call it defeating the enemy. In this particular case of the competition, we're not really defeating them, but simply getting you more business than they do. And if that's defeating, okay, that's fine. But it's not a zero-sum game. There's a lot of business out there. Getting more of it is your goal, and getting more than your competition, of course, is the ultimate way of winning the game that we're going to describe. For those people who play the game the best, they have coaches. And Tim and I are volunteering to be your coaches. And most of that will occur today because you will leave this call without doing anything else. And we're going to give you some things that you can do with us that would involve a consulting fee. But the fact is, you don't have to do anything at all to win these games using the tools we're going to teach you today. They're totally free. But we're going to give you that coaching in the next hour, and hope that you will be able to be interested enough to maybe give us a call afterwards. The ultimate goal is to have knowledge that's greater than the people with whom you're competing. And with that greater knowledge, you can, like I said, get more business than they do. If that's called defeat, that's fine as well. But I guess the question you might be asking is, what do you call the game that we are playing? And what does winning look like? Well, Tim, I think, has a story that will make that a little bit clearer to you. Go ahead, Tim.
You know, as a writer, I sometimes think in metaphors. And so when I think about you out there beating your competition, reminds me of the old story that you're probably all familiar with, the hikers who are out in the forest, and all of a sudden one of them sees this big ferocious bear. So one of the guys sits down, takes off his hiking boots, puts on a pair of running shoes, and the other one says, "You idiot, you can't outrun that bear." And of course the answer is, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. I often look at competition in home care as being exactly like that. Maybe you won't have to be the #1 home care agency in the country, but if you're better than most, you're going to get more and more referrals. You win this game that Roger's talking about, that we're going to teach you how to win today. You will be more visible. You'll get more exposure online. And in the years that we have been doing this and helping people learn how to do it, we have discovered and proven that more exposure online means your phone rings more often and you do get more referrals. So let's jump right into this knowledge that you're going to need to beat out that bear.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Yeah, the question then is, well, how do you acquire this greater knowledge? Well, obviously, you're starting today. You know, you're on this call, and chances are very good that your competitors are not. You're going to learn some valuable tricks today, and they will not. You're going to learn about some shortcuts that will save you some time, and you're going to be able to work smarter while they will work harder. You're going to succeed while they try harder, and you are going to have a head start that they cannot overtake. So enough of the warm-up. Let's get started.
When you have your marketing people going out and trying to build up your census, what exactly do you find that brings in the most number of phone calls? Where do you get your new clients or patients from? I'm going to continue to use this language, patients and clients, because some of you do medical services and some of you do non-medical, and I want to use terminology that makes sense to both of you. But here's what I have learned in my 25 years in home care. When you are dealing with the public, when you are dealing with patients who are paying you out of their pocket or through their insurance company, Usually they're elderly, and it's the adult daughter that is going to be searching for you. So what do you have? You go out there and you put ads in the yellow pages. Maybe you even do TV ads. Maybe you join the Rotary Club or the local Chamber of Commerce so that your name is out there and you meet a lot of people. Perhaps a word of mouth works for you. Perhaps you get referrals from physicians, from hospitals, however it works in your community. Perhaps you have already begun to use social media and you have a Facebook page and you have worked on your website so that people are searching for you online. All four of these ways are good, but without the fifth method that we're going to focus on today, those four don't mean much. You can have all kinds of advertising. You can have your name all over the community. But the adult daughter who is searching for you lives 1,000 miles away. She doesn't go to your meetings and she doesn't see your TV ads. She looks for the best home care agency for her mother on Google, usually from her desk at work. And what is the first thing that happens when she finds the top 3 names in the community where her mother lives? Does she pick up the phone and call all of them and ask what they can do for her mother? Absolutely not. Research has shown, and this is not our research, this is something that you can look up anywhere. A number of marketing experts have done it, proven that 88% of people will look up a company, read their reviews before they pick up the phone to ask them if they are the best place for the services that they are looking for. And so their brains are full of all of this information. They're being told wonderful things through the ads, and they are looking at websites, and they have, we kind of tried to shape all the words that are affecting them in a shape. I don't know how artistic we have been with this, but it's supposed to look like a brain. Their brain is full of all of these positive things about you, and they've got to, and about you and about your 15 competitors, and they've got to sift through it. They're looking for something, some clue that's going to make them pick up the phone and call you instead of calling somebody else. And what we have discovered is that you and I and everyone else has been trained to accept the testimony of total strangers online.
And that's, Tim, why why reviews are so important. Reviews represent words spoken by people who ostensibly have no stake in the game. They're far more important than any words you can use in advertising, that you can use in any other messages that you have. And the reviews are becoming very, very important in today's marketing thing. And the wonderful thing about it is they're totally free. Now, how do they get to you to begin with? Well, in most searches, they look up what they're looking for and where they're going to find it. And in this situation, of course, home care, it could be home health care, to whatever keywords you want to use. The fact is that the adult daughter that Tim referred to is looking, they don't know your name. They don't know who you are. They know what they want and where they want it. And so those are the key elements in any Google local search. And by the way, the difference between a Google local search is exactly those two combinations of words, a topic and a location. Otherwise, it's just a generic local Google search that you've seen many, many times, but it's not regionalized to where you are. And you can't deliver your services anywhere but where you have the ability to deliver them, of course. So when they do put in those two combinations, what of words, the location and the topic, what do they see when they look? And what you want them to do is see your name up there. And that's the key to this, to playing this game as you have. Now, when they do look you up, when they do look up a location and a topic, do they see just the bare minimum of information? This is an example of a home care agency that has never even claimed their Google listing. And it's surprising how many home care agencies have that question in there. Own this business, see the top arrow there? Own this business? They haven't added their website, and the only picture they have on there is what was taken by the car that Google has driving around the communities and taking a picture of every building in America. That's not very helpful, and it does send a message to the people that are looking for an agency. In this particular case, I guess it's in Colorado Springs. They could see very few reviews and bad ones at that. This is another agency that has 4 Google reviews, and they probably don't even know it because they haven't claimed their Google page. They don't know anything about what's up there, and the people that have left reviews are not very happy with them. Otherwise, they would have done something about it. This is another indication that we find when we're seeking people to work with. We will find these people online and say, goodness, do you have any idea how you're showing up today? And the most brutal part is the people will describe in some detail the negative experiences, because there is no limit to what people say. As long as it's not slanderous or obviously unprovable, Google, Yelp, Yahoo, Bing, all these sites that that are available to leave people's opinions. It's the freedom of speech thing. And there is federal law that makes the companies who produce these, deliver these things, Google, Yelp, whatever, not liable for the words that are used. They will take them down if they're clearly slanderous, but they will not take them down if they just don't like you. And it's a very, very challenging thing. And by the way, the only way to get rid of these, if you've got one, is to bury it with positive reviews. If you have a negative review, it's not a big deal. If you have 49 reviews that say to the contrary, people understand there are a few crazies out there that may not like you. Okay, so think of your own experience. If you're looking for a place to do business, then you find an agency that, in this particular case, has 46 reviews, 4.9 stars, and pictures from their own experience. What does that tell you about that agency?
So, Roger, this is where I think we have to give them the first piece of homework that we have assigned today. We've been emphasizing that you can do this yourself, and here's the first thing you need to do. Roger mentioned your Google business page. You might not have ever looked at it, but Google has created a page for your business, whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not. So the very first thing you have to do is claim it. They'll send you a password. You'll be able to edit the page and add your pictures. And then as soon as you have done that, you have to start taking advantage of the review system that Google has built for us. Here are the criteria that you have to obey in order to rise your listing toward the top of search results. You have to have lots and lots of reviews. This one, for example, when we met them, they had 1 or 2, and we taught them how to do it, and they have 46. At least when this screenshot was taken. They have more today. You want to have good reviews, so you're aiming for star ratings that are high and believable. You notice that this one is 4.9. That's actually better than 5.0, because if you have a perfect 5-star rating, people get suspicious. They think that you padded it. You also want to make sure that when you edit your Google business page, you are adding all of your contact information. For home care agencies, you want to put your address in, even though people do not come to your office. Usually, you want to put your hours in, and what we have learned is it's best to put 24/7. It's best to let them know that you can be. You probably have an answering service, right? You can be called at any time whenever they need you. Phone number, attractive pictures. Some people like to use pictures of their own staff. Some people like to use generic pictures that they've downloaded from some service, some imaging service. You also have to make sure that you put a link on here so that people can find your website. Directions to the office we will talk about in more detail in a few minutes. Like I said, I know how home care works. It's relatively rare that you ever have people dropping into your office, but it is important that they know you are a legitimate business, not operating out of your basement.
One of the things that you can, one of the things that you can do is to post Google reviews right on your website. If you see the bubble, let me blow it up for you a little bit. See that bubble in the lower left-hand corner? What happens is that bubble will display Google reviews that you've acquired, and generally only always only the positive ones. And every 5 or 6 seconds, it will disappear, and another bubble will occur once you have an accumulation of some Google reviews to leave there. This actually is a little piece of code that can fit your webmaster can put on your website, and it gets us down to our first free gift for you, called Free Stuff Number 1. we will provide your webmaster with the code. It's only about 6 lines, and it fits very unobtrusively in your website. And we will provide that for you on a case-by-case basis. It will be individualized for everyone on the call. You won't all get the same Google reviews, I promise. But it will pull your Google reviews and display them on your website. For now, we'll tell you how to get it in a minute, but for right now, just make a note on the paper that you're writing on, GMB widget. And when we get to the end of the presentation, we'll tell you how to get the GMB widget sent to you at no cost to you whatsoever, no obligation at all. So what is SEO? You know, I have heard so many stories of people being approached by these folks who sell SEO, and they convince small businesses, of course, including home care agencies, that SEO is the end-all and be-all to what their success would be online. And oftentimes they charge huge amounts of money to be able to do this. And because, to be honest with you, most people don't know what SEO is and don't know what success looks like in dealing with SEO, they will occasionally give them anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a month just to do the SEO for them. And then after a few months, they're trying to say, what am I getting for this? And I've heard this story over and over and over again. Well, let me talk to you about 3 versions of SEO, because knowing what SEO really is and how it works within the structure of most search engines. And by the way, you're going to hear me say Google a lot. There are a lot of search engines out there. The fact is that 68% of all searches are done on Google. So we're going to just use Google as our Kleenex generic term for that area. Okay, so the first part I want to talk about is mechanical SEO. Now, mechanical SEO looks complicated. You see all that gobbledygook on there? It frightens most people, including me, as to exactly what to do, because you don't want to mess with it because you're going to mess up your website. You have to get someone who's smarter than you, a propeller head, if you will, to fix this for you. And what it really means is that Google looks at your website in a very reliably predictable way. They look for very specific things that, like text behind your pictures and meta tags and the length of certain lines that are in your presentation and the keywords that you use on your copy. These are things that are totally controllable by you simply by asking your webmaster to accomplish it for you. And we're going to tell you in a few minutes exactly what you can tell your webmaster that will make this occur. But let me go to the second one. It's called global SEO. And this is the thing that people are generally trying to sell you. They want you to let them give you backlinks and article marketing and a number of things that will, frankly, it works in the global sense. And the question really, is it worth it? You saw I put $4 signs there as opposed to the one that I put under mechanical, because it is extremely expensive. And it isn't that it isn't powerful, and it isn't that it doesn't work. The question is it worth the money? And I'm going to tell you that for most home care agencies, unless they are doing $10 million a year perhaps, and they're reaching many, many counties in a particular state or multi-state area, generally speaking, global SEO is not worth the money. And the people who are calling you up and asking to sell it to you should be told, thank you, but I think we're going to do something else. And that's just simply an economic decision that you can make. And then there's a type of SEO that's totally free. And we've been talking about that a little bit when we've been showing you our example of Benefit Home Care. The folks who own Benefit 18 months ago had 2 reviews. And they were showing up in about the 7th or 8th page of Google, behind things that weren't even home care agencies, frankly. And they decided to give this a try, and just by steadily making sure that they acquired reviews, they have grown to be in a position where they've got a lot of stars and a lot of reviews and a lot of influence in the Colorado Springs market. So the key then is to make sure that you are collecting those things that are absolutely free in terms of reviews. And we're going to talk about that a lot more before we get off the phone today. But that does bring me. Go ahead, Ben.
No, that's all. I'm done. Speaking of free.
Oh, okay. All righty. Well, let me give something away, and then I'm going to let you talk for just a second, all right? Let's talk about free stuff number 2. A minute ago, I told you that you need to tell your webmaster exactly what to do. we are going to tell you what to tell your webmaster. We will send you a report, and last time I checked, it was like 26 pages long, and it will take every element that Google looks at on your website and tells you where you stand. It'll give you red light or green light, essentially, and tell you whether you're meeting the needs of Google to properly index you as they're searching for websites. And all you need to do is print out the report we send you and hand it to your webmaster and say, do this. And he or she will be able to help you with it. Now, some of you have websites that were put together by your teenage cousin or nephew or niece, whatever. And if you are in a situation where you don't have a webmaster, we do have people who do this for home care agencies all the time. Tim and I are not in the website business, but we will put you in the hands of people that will not cheat you. There are a lot of people out there who use hocus pocus and will try to put a lot of information in front of you and confuse you and then charge you a lot of money for it. We will not let you be cheated. So if you'll let us refer you to some folks that understand the way we play the game, you will find yourself better off. So on the sheet of paper that you're writing things down, just write down website analysis, and I will tell you where to order this free stuff number 2 when we get to the end of the program. Okay, Tim?
Yeah, this is where Roger's expertise and mine overlap, because I need to explain the free things that Google makes available, the service that Google and other websites or other search engines and review sites put out there that you can use at no charge, and the difference between one type of company that Google looks at and your type of company. For example, when Roger was talking about global SEO, this is ideal if you are a manufacturing company that is selling widgets to Brazil and to Seattle and to Thailand. If you're not that. And so let's look at the other side of it. Google also accommodates a kind of a business where they want people to find them so that they will walk in the door, like a pizza parlor or a shoe store. But you're not that either. So in order to customize this big billion-dollar infrastructure that Google and the others have built, we have to figure out exactly how it is best for you to use it. So in order to use it to its most effective outcome, you need to understand the concept of local SEO, search engine optimization. Local search engine optimization is different from global, and once you learn how to master this is when you begin to outrun that bear and get ahead of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we can talk about.
Oh, sorry, I stepped on you there. I apologize. Maybe we can describe to them exactly what that means and how they can address this themselves, Tim. First of all, getting listed on Google. I'm sorry, those were slides we should have gone through. Forgive me, Tim, for not putting those up. You want to make sure that you're completely listed on Google, that you claim as many citations on as many sites as possible. I'll explain that in just a second, and that you get Google reviews consistently. We've already talked about that. Those are slides that should have been while Tim was talking, and I apologize for messing it up.
Right, those are the 3 steps that I was telling them about, and now why don't you go through them one at a time for us?
All righty, good. I'm sorry for messing that up. First, getting listed completely and correctly on Google. This is not hard. If you haven't done it, you will find it amazingly easy. I'm showing you there just the first page. There's many more pages in the Google form that you fill out, but it's no more complicated than what you see there. One of the other things that Tim alluded to, and I think it's critical to mention at this point, is that somewhere in that form, you will be asked whether you are an address business. I'm not sure what Google calls it, but what they do call it as the alternative is a service area business. A service area business, I guess the best parallel is to think of like a plumber. A plumber, you never go to a plumber to get what you need. The plumber comes to you. Home care is exactly the same way. So does you no good as a plumber to put your address in the phone book because people aren't going to come to you. Similarly, it's of no advantage, real advantage, to have your address be the key factor when in a Google search. What you want to do is describe to Google your service area. That can be described in Google using zip codes, counties, or cities. And if you do that, what will happen is Google will give you a much bigger footprint in the area that you're serving. And it's, again, totally free. So all you need to do is fill out the form. If you need any help with that, give us a call, and we will be happy to talk you through it or send you a document that will describe it to you in some detail. The next thing is claiming citations on as many sites as possible. Now, this is hardly all of them. We just put a collection of them there because it filled up the slide. It was pretty. The fact of the matter is that very, very few people will go to community law or kudzu or Chamber of Commerce to find home care for their parents. What does happen, though, is that if you are listed in all of these they call them citations, if you're cited in all these sites in exactly the same way that you're listed in Google, Google recognizes you as, I'm putting air quotes around this, as a player in the marketplace. And the key to this is so fundamentally powerful is that back to the competition. There are very few people who are not on this call who are running home care agencies that really understand this at all. They know they're going to get to Google and Yelp and Facebook and a few others. But the fact that you would do as many as 6 of these sites, and there are hundreds of them, by the way, and I'll tell you how to get to the hundreds besides the 6 we're going to talk about, is just so overwhelmingly more powerful than anyone else with whom you are competing. Now, besides the sites that we show there are 4 sites that are really critical, and those are called data aggregators. Data aggregators are literally like the Yellow Pages. As a matter of fact, I say literally because in 1987, when AT&T was broken up, the databases they had for all their online operators went to these types of companies who established databases. Now, over the years, they've built on them by getting tax records and Chamber of Commerce records and different lists that they can do, and they pack all this information into these giant databases. Well, all this is fine if you never moved, you never changed your phone number, you never had anything about your business that was at one time different than it is today. The easiest way to resolve that is to send each of them, and there's only 4, and it doesn't cost you anything to do this, to send all 4 of them a registration of your business with the exact phone number, exact address of what is shown in your Google. And when I say exact address, it means that if you don't put your suite number in your Google listing, don't put it in there. It doesn't matter whether you do or don't, because nobody are generally going to come to your premises anyway. But the inconsistency is a little hiccup for Google. They're not going to punish you for it. They're just not going to help you. It doesn't hurt you not to be listed in these sites, by the way, but it does definitely help you, mainly in the home care space, because very few home care agencies actually do it. So let me get to free stuff number 3. If you would like to know how you are currently showing up online on a dozen or 3 or 4 dozen of these sites, all you need to do is to go to a website that we have shortened for you here called bit.ly/checkmysites2009. This is going to take you to a page on our website where you fill out a couple of forms. And this is just a conduit to be able to go to another piece of software that will actually produce a report, the very top of which looks like this. It's actually 4 pages long, but it will demonstrate to you where you're showing up and how you look online. These sites this report will tell you over time old addresses that may be still showing up. If your phone number is inconsistent, some of you have been talked into tracking numbers for various online advertising. Tracking numbers are the bane of your existence if you are looking for ranking in Google, because Google wants the same phone number to show up everywhere. And so we encourage people, if you're going to use a tracking number, use the same one throughout all of your resources, just as long as it's consistent. I had an old expression one time when I was coaching employees: right or wrong, be consistent. At least you can know where you are and fix it if it's wrong. So that is our gift to you. What will happen, by the way, when you get this report is you're going to get an immediate online report. I would like you to ignore that, because in about 5 minutes, you'll receive an email with a full report. That full report is much clearer to understand and will give you the full range of information. The one that comes out on the email really is one of those things that sort of teases you with information and encourages you to call us. We're not playing any games with you today. I'll tell you that you do not have to look at that and then give us a call to get more information. We will send that information to you automatically in about 5 minutes, and it will tell you what you need to know about where you stand. All right, Tim?
So we told you that there were 3 steps that you have to carry out in order to get your online presence ready for the task that comes next, which is to fill up that online presence with reviews. Once you've done all the groundwork that Roger just explained, this is the most important part. There are 3 rules. You have to have more reviews than anybody else, or at least you have to have as many as you can get. You want to have as many positive ones, and like Roger said before, if you do occasionally get a complaint, you respond to it politely online, and then you bury it with another 49 positive reviews. And also, they seem to care that your reviews are recent. So you can't just say, all right, I got 100 last year, I'm done. You need to constantly feed the beast by getting more reviews all the time so that you fulfill the 3rd criteria that they look for: quantity, quality, and recency. So in other words, once you start doing this, it's, what would you call it? An addiction. You have to continue to do it. You have to, at least on a minimum level, you have to keep doing a little bit of it every week.
Yeah, once you get started, people tend to like the results they get, and they're staff oriented to it, and it becomes almost a contest to see how many things that you can get published online that say nice things about your agency. It's kind of fun to watch what happens. So you've got to be asking yourself, well, my slides won't go. Well,
there you go.
That's not what I wanted. All right, let's see if we can do it here. All right, there we go. Sorry for that. Okay, so you have to be asking yourself, well, how am I going to get all this done? Well, in fact, there are some ways that we can help you. For example, how would you have time to claim all these sites? Now, I will tell you that claiming sites is free. There's no real hocus pocus to it. It's not difficult. It just takes a lot of time. And depending on how much you pay your employees to do things, it may be that you would like help with that. And that's one of the things that we're going to explain to you how we can help you right now. First of all, you can assign a staff member to do this if they don't have enough to do. Or you can go to the website I gave you earlier, bit.ly check my sites 2019, to see how you are showing up, and then request a citation claiming form. We'll send that to you for free. The citation claiming form, we'll send it to you anyway, but we use it, frankly, to get all the data that you need to put on all these sites in one place at one time, so you don't have to search for it, and anyone claiming these sites can just go to the same form. What we do is to ask you to fill it out exactly like your Google listing is now. If you don't have a Google listing, we'll do that too, but the fact is that it needs to be consistent throughout, as I've made that point earlier. And then what we will do, if you are not doing it yourself, is to submit it to a team that has done this time and time and time again. They know where all the blanks are, and combining their knowledge of where all the questions are and all the answers you're going to provide on the citation claiming form listed in number 2 there, you get the job done very, very quickly. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks, and you will be registered, air quotes again, everywhere. Now, the usual cost of doing something like that is about $10 a site. What we wanted to offer you today is a deal where we're going to claim all 60 sites plus the 4 data aggregators. And for those of you who are not properly listed on Google, we'll throw that in for free. Usually that's a separate charge. But we will get, even if you are listed on Google, we'll make sure that it's complete and accurate and consistent with what we will claim with the other sites. And we're going to offer that to you for a one-time cost of $397. There's no monthly fees. There's no tricks to that. What you need to do is compare that to what it would cost you to have someone do it on your own team. And I think that you will find that that's a pretty good deal.
Now, in a few minutes, we're going to tell you a little bit more detail about how to do this. I'm sure a lot of you are saying right now, okay, I believe you. I get it. We need reviews. But how do we do it? I told you, I've been around home care for a long time, and I learned this system from Roger 4 years ago. And first thing I realized was, we're not doing it. Home care is not doing it. Let me show you some examples, and then I will explain why this is both a good and a bad thing. we did a little research and found 4 representative cities. Let me show what we found there. Home Care Atlanta was the Google search that we put in to see what the situation looks like in a city of 6 or so million people. Start with Kindred at Home at the top in the search results and notice that they paid for that spot. And the psychology that we have learned is most people don't trust those ads. You know, the difference between buying a car and you listen to what the salesman says about it versus what your neighbor says about it who owns that same car. Who do you believe? So we find that it's not necessarily cost effective, although some people will force themselves into the top position with an ad. So let's look at the other 3. Remember, this is a city of 6 million people. The number 1 has 14 reviews. CareMinders has 1 review, and Atlanta Home Care Partners has 17. Now, they're all pretty good, 4.7, 5.0, and 4.8. So they're good reviews, but think about it. Why are the most successful who wind up at the top of that adult daughter from Seattle's search? Why do they have so few reviews? Here's another example on the right. Cleveland, a different kind of city, but almost as large. Same thing with the paid ad at the top, and then look at the others. Visiting Angels makes it to the top somehow with 5 mediocre reviews. They have 3.5 stars. Cleveland Clinic, amazingly enough, you would think they would know better, 7 reviews, and none of them very good. And somehow Pacific Home Care makes it into the list. So we're doing this in every city just to see what it's like, and everywhere we go, we find that home care has not figured this out yet. Very few people are energetically going out and populating their page with reviews. Look at the next 2 cities. They're not as big. Leesburg, Florida is a small town, but it's loaded with elderly people, as most Florida cities are. And look at who made it to the top here. 1 review for Interim, a bad one. No reviews for Premier, and 6 reviews for Classic. Now, keep in mind, this might seem contrary to what we've been teaching you, but Google and the others do have other criteria besides just reviews. Remember, they have a large algorithm that determines who gets to be at the top. Reviews is an important part of it, but there are other things they look at as well. So that might explain why someone with no reviews got into 2nd place in Leesburg. And then look at Highland Park. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's a wealthy suburb north of Chicago, right on the lake. And you would think home care agencies there would have money to spend on SEO, but apparently they have not heard about local SEO. 8 reviews, and it goes on and on and on like this from one city to the next, everywhere we look. And the reason I'm telling you this is a good thing for you is because you could be the first in your market area. Everybody else has 4, 5, 6 reviews, and you have 50 or 60 or 200. All of a sudden, it's going to be easy for you to be the first one that adult daughter calls. So why don't we do it, Roger?
Why are people not doing this? You know, you would think that with this obvious evidence and our knowledge of how we pick restaurants and other places where they have 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, how many hundred reviews, why is home care ending up with 5 or 6 in even major cities? And so what is the excuse we have for doing that? Well, of course, we think our clients are too old. Maybe they just can't do this. And they get confused by the technology, or the technology they have is very old, or they don't understand Google, or they don't have a Google account, or they can't remember the Google password. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons that old folks can't do this. They can't remember their Google password, or they can't think of anything to say. So the other excuse we hear is that other agencies don't collect reviews either, so we're not so bad off. Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it. The fact is, I would think that in that situation, say, hey, no, it's like the 2 salesmen that were sent to developing country, and they were selling shoes, and one of the salesmen called back and says, "Boss, bad news, nobody wears shoes." And the second salesman called back and said, "Hey, boss, guess what? Nobody's wearing shoes here yet." So it's really an opportunity more than a problem if we're looking at it in that way. we're too busy. We're too busy serving our clients or selling to get new clients or seeking staff to handle the clients that we've got. The fact is that the program that we have developed does take care of many of those issues with regard to how older people deal with technology they don't necessarily understand, and that they can do it in a way that's so quick and so easy that it actually works for you and works for them. And the process we're going to describe to you takes 2 minutes to get accomplished using we'll explain to you in just a second how we do it. But it's a real slick little way that makes people very comfortable with the process. The fact of the matter is that if you use a system like this and you only get 1 review per week, at the end of a year you're going to have over 50 reviews, and you will well outstrip anybody in the service area that you are competing. And then we hear, we ask, but people just don't deliver. Well, you've done this for yourself. I've done this. You've had some good service. You've complimented the owner of the business, and they've said to you, I really appreciate that. Would you leave me a Google review saying that? And you say yes, and you don't do it. Now, you're not lying. You just have church or soccer or something else going on that prevents you from taking time to do their marketing for them. And so what we try to do in using a system is to remove all that gap between the comment that's made and the delivery of it to Google. Or some people tell us the process is too difficult. We just don't know how. Well, we're going to teach you how.
That's exactly what we are here for today, is to teach this to you so that you can take your homework and run with it, take the free things that we are giving you, and turn your agency into the most competitive one in town. So let's take a look at the things that we're going to walk through. We know how to do this because we're focused on home care. I know the particular needs that you live with, the problems that you live with, and because of our research, we know just how desperately. Let me give you an example. If you go to that Google search, and I'll bet you a bunch of it are doing it already. You're looking at our slides on one screen and you're Googling yourself on the other screen just to see if we're telling the truth about where you're at. Well, try this. If you've already done that, change one word. Type in home cleaning in your city instead of home care, and you will see that other industries have dozens, if not hundreds, of reviews. So you really need this to differentiate yourself because the people who are looking for you are, in fact, looking online. So we've studied the problems that you have and come up with the answers that we are able to teach you. And after doing it for the number of years that we've been doing it, we know it works. We've developed an approach to gathering reviews that is a strategy built on psychology. You're dealing with people who love the service you give to them, and all you have to do is help them, make it easy for them to say so in a place where other people can read it. So we can sit down with you sometime in the future and tell you the stories and give you the names of the home care agencies, peers of yours, where this has worked really well. But we had to come up with a name for it, right? So we decided Home Care Reviews Accelerator is the title that tells the lessons that we are going to teach you, that explains what it means, that tells the story of what it is we're going to provide for you. So there's a specific psychological strategy to populating your Google business page and other search engines with reviews. And we're going to walk you through it step by step.
So by now, Tim, they want to know what are we talking about? How do they do this? Well, first of all, we're going to start by surprising you. Never ask for a Google review. What we do is we wait until the time is right. And the right time is when someone whom you're serving says something nice. And you hear it every day. And your caregivers hear a compliment and they say thank you. And once they say thank you, it disappears off into the atmosphere and it's gone forever. And so instead of saying thank you, we don't want you to ask for a Google review. We don't even want you to say thank you. What you want to do is to give them a gift back. And that is to appreciate their appreciation. So someone has said something about how important it is that Mary Jane shows up every day and makes her life better. And at that point, you have the opportunity to capture their heart. And this is so critical to getting a review. Tim mentioned the psychologically strategic way we do this. This is part of that psychology. And that is to give the person a gift. And it gets into their law of reciprocity and everything. When you are appreciated with a compliment, the answer is, and this will sound a little bit corny, but you'll get the idea of what I'm trying to say, is that you don't say thank you. You say, we go to work hoping to help our clients every day. But hearing words like that makes it all worthwhile. You've made my day. Thank you so much for saying that. Now, you can use your own words, of course, and they won't be as corny as that, perhaps. The fact is that if you appreciate the appreciation, that person and you now have an emotional bond where reciprocity comes into play. Because the next question you ask is, would you do me a favor? And that favor, again, it's not a Google review. It's you have just used words that are better than we could use. People would hear those and understand what we do for you and believe them in ways that we could never do in an ad. Could we use those words and publish them online so people who live in this area, who need home care but don't know about our agency, would perhaps give us a phone call? Now, again, the psychological ploy, you've given them face, you've given them credibility, you've given them a compliment. You want to use their words. You want to use in your promotions things that they've said, and it makes them proud to have said them. And I got a little bit on my side. That's exactly why. You explain to them why you're going to be doing that, and then you're going to explain to them how. And I will explain to you how right now. I won't tell you how we do it right now, but the fact is we will provide you with an icon for the cell phone of the person who's visiting the client. Now, again, this could be an elderly person that you're serving in a help capacity. It could be the eldest daughter or another family member who's present when you are serving that client. It could be someone that you've met at a Chamber of Commerce meeting that knows your services and likes you and wants to do you a favor. It could be a referral source at a hospital or other facility that suggests people come to you for help. It can be anybody who's legitimately able to leave a Google review. When you've encountered this individual, and for my example, I'm going to just talk about someone who's in the home. You touch the icon that's on the phone. It looks a little bit like that teardrop there. And by the way, we're going to use Rowan Resources for this example. In your cases, it would be your branding and your logos and your language in all these examples. But we're going to use just our sample case for today to demonstrate to you. Once you've touched that icon there, it comes up with a web page. This is not an app, by the way. It's just a web page. And you enter in 3 pieces of data. The email is optional, but the fact is that if you take the email, if for some reason they can't complete the survey on the system I'm going to show you, they can do it by email. Or you can send them a thank you note afterwards. It's good to have the email, even though the system will work without it. Once that data has been put in, by the way, you're still looking at your phone, and I'm going to use your in this example, could be any of your staff members, of course. This is your phone, and you enter that data and hit submit. Then this is the client's cell phone. When you've hit submit, it sends a text to the client. And it says something nice about thank you for your interest in Rowan Resources or whatever. Please let us know your impressions. And then you touch the link below, or the client will, and it opens this page here. Would you recommend this? Now, that's a short little question. Again, the text can be customized for your own agency. I like the statement, if you knew of someone needing home care, would you recommend our name of your agency to us? And then they click yes. Now, I will tell you that both the yes and the no button work. The no is more art than anything else. You're in a positive conversation with them. Nobody clicks the no button, but we leave it there just for psychological purposes that they have a choice, even though they are already committed at that point. The next screen that shows up is a list of apps they can use to leave a review. There can be up to 3 on this particular screen. We would recommend that you limit it, at least at the beginning, to just 2, Google and Facebook. Google because it's the most powerful search engine in the world. Facebook because some people can't remember their Google password if they get into it. That's less a case, by the way, with Android phones because Google and Android are intertwined and nobody can have an Android phone if they don't have a Google account. Those people who insist on using iPhones sometimes use Siri and other search engines and don't have Google as a primary source of information, and they have to know the password when they get to it. And then so many people are on Facebook that if, in fact, they can't get into the Google account, Facebook is a nice default. It's very easy to get into. You don't have to do any qualifications. And most people already are signed in on their Facebook when they're on their cell phones anyway. So it works out very nicely as a fallback position. You want to go for Google first. So I'm going to proceed with Google as that in this example. In this situation, you've got on the left-hand side the Google page of the agency showing up there. That's our Rowan Resources, the Rowan Consulting Associates website. Then, without doing anything at all, in about 4 seconds, it will dissolve into the place where they leave the actual Google review. Once again, the psychology of it is to make it as easy as possible for the people we're dealing with. So you don't have to do anything, but you'll see your page, and then it will dissolve into a place where they can actually leave the review. There are 3 ways to leave the review at that point. Obviously, the client, if he or she is available, is capable, can type it in using their fingers to type the review, just like you would on your phone as well. If they are less capable, you can type it for them. And the question, by the way, that sets all this up is, would you repeat what you just said? And that way they don't have to think of anything new to say, and then you let them type it in, or you can type it in for them, or touch the microphone button there at the bottom of the phone and say, would you repeat what you just said? And they dictate it into the phone, and it becomes a Google review right that minute. You may want to check it to make sure that Google has the phone has heard correctly and accurately, but the fact is that it's very, very simple to get that done. And that becomes the Google review. So let me see here. You're going to stay. I'm sorry. The question is, what do you get with the program? You want to go over that, Tim?
Yeah, I need to kind of focus again into the specific needs of a home care provider. We already talked about how you're more often than not dealing with elderly people. They might not be comfortable with the technology, and maybe they don't have a Google account. Maybe they have an iPhone that doesn't automatically give them a Google account like an Android does. There are all different reasons why you might say, look, this is never going to work. But here's the good news. If you get 2 reviews a week, in a few short months, you're going to have many times more reviews than all of your competitors combined. You saw that on the example pages that we gave you before from Atlanta and Highland Park and Leesburg and Cleveland. Your goal is to get 1 or 2. First of all, that's going to help because if you get too many, if you get 10 or 20 at a time, you look suspicious. You look like you're manipulating the system. So be patient. And if you say, if you see that you can't get one from one patient, that maybe the adult daughter isn't there with her smartphone, you say, that's okay, move on to the next. If you've got a number of people working in the field and they're all remembering to ask for the favor, certainly you'll find 5%, 10%, and you'll get those 2 a week. Even if you only get 1 a week, you're going to outstrip the competition in no time at all. Maybe the adult daughter is present when your caregiver is there in the home. That makes it a whole lot easier. They probably have a smartphone that can accept a text, and you can get them to do the favor right away, right there. If it doesn't happen in the home very often, and if you find you're not getting the 1 or 2 a week, there's an alternative in the system that we use where we teach you how to get in touch with that adult daughter, maybe the one who originally called you, to set up the services. And talk to them. How do you think we're doing? Have you heard from Mom? Is she happy with our service? And when you get the positive feedback, then you can talk over the phone and ask, can I send you a text right now? Would you do me a favor? You can also supplement the reviews coming in from your clients and patients with your own. Your referral sources might want to say something nice in public about you. Your own employees, former clients. We have a system where even if you're not in their home anymore, we have a system you can send them an email and say, hey, remember us? Would you like to do me a favor? One comment, if you do invite your happy employees to write a review, it's going to be very powerful because there is always a nurse or a home health aide or a therapist or a CNA in your area who's working for one home care agency but looking for a better one to work for. And if they see a number of reviews from your employees, they're going to say, oh, yeah, I got to apply there. And we've seen this happen, actually. We've seen this happen where the staffing problem goes away. Just make sure you don't do too many all at once, because Google watches for that, and they will think that you are gaming the system.
So, Tim, the program includes unlimited use of the program. You can collect as many reviews as you want, with the cautions that Tim gave you. You can have unlimited users of the system. You can install the phone on any number of phones that are among your staff. There's a short commitment to using the program, 180 days, and it goes month to month. We ask you to give it 6 months mainly because there's a ramp-up period, there's a training period, there's an orientation period where people get used to the idea. But I will tell you, we have very few people who quit after they get going with the program. It costs $200 to get it set up. There is a monthly fee. We'll talk about that in a second. And you get with it a personal coach, someone who will teach your staff, who will answer questions, maybe even answer questions about a negative review that might have come in outside of the system. And something we kind of put air quotes around is we nag you. The fact is that we have had occasionally people who buy the system, but they don't get any reviews, and they need to be reminded. And so what we do is we get someone on your team that is responsible for it, the owner of it, if you will, the cheerleader, and we work with him or her to make sure that the system is used on a consistent basis. In the past, I've worked with, prior to knowing Tim, with dentists and doctors and auto shops and car dealers and things that have used the same exact system to build reviews, and we've charged them on average about $375 a month. I will tell you that Tim has convinced me that that's not a price for the home care industry. And by the way, the fact is that the technology's gotten cheaper. What is it, Occam's razor? They say the technology gets cheaper as it grows in utilization, and the cost of us actually producing it is lower. So we're going to allow you to have the program. I say allow you, encourage you to get the program with unlimited use and coaching for only $200 per month. I think you might be able to put that price within the context of any advertising, or certainly if you're buying AdWords, and discover that the cost of that relative to the value and the time savings and the success rate that you'll have is a dramatically good deal. Yes, you can have your employees go out and ask people to leave Google reviews, and yes, they will say they will give them, and no, they won't give them, and you'll be back where you are without any success. That's obviously what's going on in the home care industry today. It's just not getting done. And the system we've used will allow you to collect it on a consistent basis in a way that doesn't burden your staff and doesn't burden your clients. So, more free stuff. The final free stuff we're going to offer you is what we call a free online situation analysis. Now, if you get the other things that we've offered you, you're going to get a lot of information. But we have a team of people on our staff that will actually go out and do deep research on the internet to see things that you may not see from some standardized reports. How you're showing up in Facebook and Yelp and other review sites, as well as non-review sites, and how you're listed organically online. And we'll do a deep dive into that. And when we have the ability to follow up with you, we will explain those things to you and give you some tips and tricks about what you can do, generally speaking, using the tools of your own webmaster who can get these things done for you. So how do you get all the free stuff that we were talking about? I ask you to write things down as we've been going through the program today. And the way to get your free stuff is to go to this website here, RowanReputationResources.com/contact-us. Very simple, very easy to read. No spelling tricks there except for Rowan if you don't know how to spell that. RowanReputationResources.com/contact-us. When you get to that site, you will see a form that looks like this. Nothing tricky. There's just your name, address, and phone number, ways that we can get in touch with you to give you more information and send you the reports that you have. And then if you will look at the bottom of that particular form, you'll see the 4 free stuff things that we're offering you. Number 1, the GMB widget, Google My Business widget. If you see down there, there's a box. If you'll check that box, we'll send you that widget in an email. Then you give that to your webmaster, and he or she can put it on your website. Free stuff number 2, the website analysis. We didn't have a box for that, so what I'd like you to do is to just put write the words website analysis in the box at the bottom down there. We'll know what you're meaning without using the whole sentence. Number 3, you don't have to do anything because you will be getting that report from the bit.ly Check My Sites 2009. By the way, there's a typo in that on this particular side. There is not a dot between the sites 2009. I forgot to take that period out. And number 4, the situation analysis. When you fill out the form, we will know who you are and we will do the analysis for you. And if you've asked for the other 3 things, we will assume that you are interested enough for us to do the deep dive analysis. And then all you have to do is answer the phone when we call you, and we'll go over it with you and send you a written report as well. So, Tim?
You know, that brings us to the end. We have taught you everything we know.
That may be true.
But we do provide this service to people who contact us after the webinar, and there is much more detail that we can give for anyone who wants to get started. But before that, I hope that what we've done is whet your appetite a little bit to let you know that this is possible and that you can work on your competition problem by a number of ways, including improving your online reputation. So for more information, you can go to our website with the /contact-us added at the end, which will give you a way to get in touch with us. But as was mentioned before, I offered this weekly newsletter to people at no charge. It's advertiser supported, and it is we try to make it chock full of important information every week for both Medicare providers and private duty agencies. So it's very simple, and it's not here on the screen, but easy to find. The website is homecaretechreport.com. That's just spelled the way it should be, homecaretechreport.com. Just go there, and you'll see the subscription button right about the middle of the page. And you'll also find a number of our most recent articles listed in case you want to check us out before you subscribe.
Okay, Sam, you may have had some people ask questions during the webinar, and we're happy to answer them for as many as you have.
Excellent. Yeah, we had quite a few questions about how to get those reviews, especially for new companies. Now, I know that you laid out the method using the accelerator, but maybe you have a tip to share on how to really recognize those moments when you're a new agency and need to instruct your caregivers to collect these reviews.
Well, Tim, I'll give the microphone to you in just a second. Let me offer my thoughts, and you take over from there. Sam, that's a really, really good question, and there really cannot be an agency that needs this, when I say this, Google reviews more than a new agency. Having a lot of reviews for a new agency gives it, air quotes, age. It gives them stability. It gives them a reputation, if you will, using the words of people that they've served. And I will tell you that the simple answer to the question, how do I get these reviews, is really, and I don't want to sound smart alecky here, you just ask for them. Now, you can ask for them. However, there are often, particularly in the home care space, situations where it's just very difficult to execute on people's promises. People will say they will give you the Google review, but unless you're standing there with the tool to be able to get them to deliver it, it is extremely difficult to get them to perform. That is why we strongly believe that the investment in this tool will well pay off in terms of, I'm going to call it advertising. You know, advertising, by the way, radio, billboards, they disappear in 30 seconds or 30 days. It is very challenging to get long-term memory on advertising. Google reviews last forever. You can go and see companies 7, 8, 9 years old, have reviews that are 7 or 8 or 9 years old. They just stay there forever, and you build and build and build upon them. Now, as Tim pointed out earlier, those older reviews don't have much power in terms of your ranking, but they do have power with regard to staying around. And the more power, the more reviews you have, the more power you've got.
You know, there is a specific response to this too, Roger. Sam, that you said the questioner was asking about how to get started for a brand new agency. There is a timeline that works well that you have to look at. Remember, we told you first have to find the Google business page Google has set up for you. Then you need some time to claim it and edit it and customize it. Then you also want to take that information literally in every detail, down to the way you abbreviate the word avenue, to your suite number, and everything, and duplicate that on these other 60 or 70 more obscure search engines. And as Roger mentioned, that can take 6 or 8 weeks. So here's what happens. As you are laying the groundwork by building your visibility on Google and the other ones, you begin teaching your people how to do it. You don't have to be in business for years. All you have to do is start to do a really great job and have happy patients and clients. So the system that we teach you is how to give a script to your in-home caregivers so that when they do hear a compliment, they walk away with this gratitude in the form of an online review. And little by little, like I said, it doesn't take long to get more than anybody else in town.
And for particularly for a new agency, getting those sites claimed will give you an awful lot of visibility very quickly. What's the next question, Sam?
Right. Well, we have just a little bit of time left, so just a couple more questions here. I have a question from Alexander. Should we even care about Yahoo and Bing online reviews? What about Yelp?
Well, I'll take that first, and Tim, you fill in if anything I forget here. Let's talk about Yelp first. Yelp is an anathema to the industry with regard to our kind of industry in charge of getting people to leave reviews. They have algorithms and rules and so forth that have made it not appropriate for us to feed them reviews. We've taken Yelp out of our system. It's still a good place to go. It's more important on the coast than it is in the middle of the country, but Yelp is not generally known for home care reviews. And besides which, if you try to force them in, as we are, Yelp punishes you in ways that are ugly. Secondly, you were talking about the, I think you said Bing and some other secondary sites. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the secondary sites. Google has 68% of all the reviews online. Facebook has 20% of all the reviews online. That leaves 18% of the reviews that are left over. Actually, it's only 8% to all the other services. So you can put them on there, but they just don't have an awful lot of visibility. And we recommend that you really stick with Google and use Facebook as a backup. And don't worry too much about the other sites, except once you've gotten enough Google reviews that you're satisfied, then you can sort of spread your wings a bit.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add to that. I do know that from everything that we have heard from home care agencies around the country, Google is used 90% of the time by that mythical adult daughter who is looking for your services. There's nothing wrong with having reviews on the other sites, but the important thing is that you do beef up your listing on those other sites so that it exactly matches your listing on your Google business page.
Yeah. It's just not good value for your effort.
Excellent.
What else, Sam?
Let's go with one last question here from Teresa. Just wondering if you had any different advice for reviews and listings before that they've gotten their first customer.
Oh, that's a little more of a challenge. In that case, Sam, what you need to do is get all those people that have recommended that you get into this business, from your banker to your first employee to prospective referral sources, friends in the community, and get them to do 2 or 3 or 4 reviews of your business approach and attitude and things like that. You really can't get reviews from people who have had experience with you because you haven't yet. But getting people to say nice things to you gets you a good foundation. And frankly, you get 3 or 4 of those from day one, and the rest of it becomes a little easier. Your clients will be more willing to leave reviews, and people will recognize you as a player. It's actually a very, very good way of gaining visibility. And while you may or may not use our system to get those because you are dealing with people that are your friends and you can ask them to do it and you don't need our technology for it. Once you do have real clients, you'll need the technology to be able to get them to leave it because it's just simply easier to get them done that way.
Well, the thing to remind them to as well is when you ask for the review and the person you ask says yes and you walk away and say thank you, the response rate, the actual follow-through rate is about 1%, which is why we developed a system that enables you to do it while you're standing right there in front of them and get it done before you leave. That makes a huge difference. But even for a startup agency, you're in a great position because nobody's ever heard of you. You've got no bad reviews. and the minute you start asking for them, you start accumulating them. So from the very beginning, you have your first hires, and you introduce this in your orientation as this is the way we do business here.
Yeah.
And it's just part of your job description to remember to listen for the compliment and ask for the favor.
Yeah, build it into your employee manual at the beginning, and you'll have a very successful future.
And you can offer spiffs, you can offer rewards. You don't want to pay for reviews, but you can offer Starbucks cards and gas cards and the like. Have a contest to see who gets the most in a month, or all kinds of games like that. And the employees seem to really resonate with that in our experience.
Yeah, you don't want to pay the clients to give you the reviews, by the way. That's although you'll never get arrested for it, it is illegal to do it. FTC type illegal. But the fact is that you can give your employees a reward for getting the review from someone all day long without any problem.
All right. Well, thank you to you both. I think with that question, we're going to end the session. I want to thank everyone for attending today, and thank you to Tim and Roger for sharing.
Sam, I want to give you a little credit for doing a good job at doing this webinar and taking good care of us. If anybody is interested in hearing more about the Rosemark system, please call Sam. He'd be happy to help you with that. And I want to thank Tim and Roger for a wonderful, jam-packed, full of great information for home care agencies out there. So thank you guys so much. I love doing these webinars with you, and we hope to do one on in the future when you've got some even more wonderful news about the upcoming and I'm sure changes that are going to happen in the marketing world around all of the technology that's out there. So you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. It was our pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Bye-bye.